Elizabeth blinked in the dim light, as her eyes adjusted to the scent of metal and dust filled her nostrils. The cold, sterile room was unlike anything she was used to. She felt her pulse race, the remnants of a strange dream still clinging to the edges of her mind. Her body was heavy, aching from what she could only assume was the trauma of the past few days. But as her eyes flicked over the scene, her breath hitched in disbelief. An entire platoon stood at attention around her, clad in the intimidating armor of the Galactic Legion. They were massive, towering figures, with strange alien features, yet their eyes were locked firmly on her, an expression of awe and admiration on their faces. "Is this a dream?" Elizabeth whispered, her voice hoarse from disuse. One of the soldiers, a tall reptilian being with green scales and yellow eyes, stepped forward. His voice, deep and gravelly, reverberated in the quiet room. "No, human, this is reality. You are alive, and your actions have led to this moment." Alive. Elizabeth's mind raced. "What happened to me?" "You were injured in the battle," the reptilian soldier explained. "But you survived, and when the battle ended, we found something ... remarkable." Evan's face suddenly materialized in her mind. Her partner, her friend, her love. Was he alive to... "Where is Evan?" she demanded, pushing herself up into a sitting position, her body protesting the movement. "Where's my crew?" The soldier nodded grimly, though there was something almost reverent in his expression. "Your crew is alive, but we must warn you, they are not the reason you have become the hero of this war." Before she could speak, a small, childlike voice cut through the tension in the room. "They're the reason. The cubs." The voice came from behind the platoon. Elizabeth turned toward the source and saw a group of small furry creatures emerging from the shadows. They were nothing like the soldiers around her, small, wide-eyed, with large ears and almost too many limbs for their tiny bodies. The largest of the creatures, a bright red cub with glowing blue markings, padded forward. It was no more than 4 feet tall, but its intensity made it seem larger. The cub gazed up at Elizabeth with a mix of affection and respect. "You saved us," it said, its tiny paws raised in what looked like a salute. "We demand you be honored, warrior." Elizabeth blinked in confusion, trying to make sense of what was happening. The cubs, they couldn't possibly know what had happened. They couldn't possibly. Then it hit her. The battle, the ambush. Evan and the others had been surrounded, outnumbered by a force too powerful for them to handle. But in the chaos, Elizabeth had found herself standing in front of a group of young alien refugees, cubs, as the soldiers were calling them. She had protected them. She had given everything to ensure their safety. The memories flooded her, how the cubs had clung to her, how she'd fought off hostile forces with a desperation she hadn't even known she had. They had been the key to turning the tide. She'd fought tooth and nail to save them, and now they had come to her with an offer of gratitude. "Honored." I'm not sure I understand," Elizabeth said slowly, trying to piece it all together. "You want to give me a military honor?" The cub nodded vigorously. "Yes, we demand it." His eyes gleamed with excitement. "Your actions were beyond anything the Galactic Legion has ever witnessed. You fought not just for us, but for the future of our kind. You are our protector." The words sent a chill through Elizabeth's spine. She had always known that humans were resilient, but she had never realized the impact they could have on an entire galaxy. Her actions had sparked something, a ripple of hope, of power, that had rippled through these alien creatures. Evan's voice echoed in her mind again, the last thing he'd said to her, before everything had gone dark. "You'll make them see us, Elizabeth. You'll make them understand what humanity is truly capable of." Now, it seemed as though they had. The platoon of soldiers slowly parted, to reveal a large sword, ornate pedestal, standing at the center of the room. On it was a medalla gleaming piece of alien craftsmanship that shone with an intensity that took Elizabeth's breath away. Its center was an intricate design, a combination of symbols that didn't seem to belong to any single species, but instead represented the union of many. "Please," the soldier said, holding out the medal. "Accept the Galactic Protector's Medal. It is the highest honor we can bestow." Elizabeth hesitated, her mind racing. She had never been one for accolades or fame. She had always been a soldier, a protector, just like Evan. They fought to ensure survival, to defend those who couldn't defend themselves. But this felt different. It felt bigger than anything she had ever dreamed. Before she could speak, the cub stepped forward again, his tiny voice trembling with excitement. "Please, the highest honor, or we won't stop following you. You're our hero." Elizabeth looked from the cub to the platoon, to the glowing medal in the soldier's hands. She felt a knot form in her stomach. Hero? She was just a human, nothing more. A soldier who did what needed to be done. But as she looked at the faces around her, alien and human alike, all waiting for her decision, she realized something. Perhaps she had already earned this honor in ways she couldn't fully understand. And perhaps it was time to accept that humanity had earned its place among the stars. With a deep breath, she stood up, her legs trembling slightly under her, the weight of the moment pressed down on her shoulders. But she squared them anyway. "I accept," Elizabeth said, her voice steady, despite the storm inside her. "Not just for me, but for everyone who fought for this. For everyone who has ever believed in us. Humanity is just getting started." The room erupted in cheers, alien and human alike, and the cubs jumped up and down, yipping with excitement. Elizabeth smiled, her heart swelling with a sense of pride and purpose she had never known before. In that moment, she knew one thing for certain: the future was theirs.